Hi guys, my name is Mrs. Terry,
My name is Mrs. Montgomery.
and we just wanted to give you a little sneak peek into our classroom. We both teach second grade, and today we're teaching
Place value.
Place value. So now you can look into our classroom and see what we do and kind of get some ideas. Good morning, class.
Good morning, class. How was everyone's weekend?
Oh, good. You guys had a good time at Easter?
Good Easter. Everyone found some eggs.
Oh, good. I had a really great Easter, too. Did you have a good Easter?
I had an awesome Easter.
Oh, good. We all had good Easter.
Woohoo!
So now we're all ready to start school.
Yay! So, as we remember last week, we were talking about place value. So, today we are actually going to be adding using place values.
Mhm.
So, as we remember last week, we went over the tens and ones. So, if everyone can take out this worksheet, and we are briefly going to go over the tens place and the ones place and how they work. So as we remember, we have the tens. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is all 10. So 1 10 is a 10. 2 tens is a 20. 3 tens is a 30. 4 tens is a 40. 5 tens is a 50. 6 tens is a 60. 7 tens is a 70. 8 tens is an 80. And 9 tens is 90. And later on next week, we will go into more on the hundreds, which 10 tens is 100. But today we're only going to focus on 1 through 90. So let's create. So now that you guys are understanding your tens and ones and getting a good memory of it, you are going to create the number 28 using your 10 frames. So go ahead and take a moment and try to make a 28 using your 10 frames. So using your 10 frames, you should have gotten something that looks like this. So we have 2 tens for the 20, right? 2 tens, and then 8 ones. So you should have had 8 small ones broken off to make a 28.
Did you guys all have those? Did any of you guys having a hard time with it or anything? Let us know because we'll help you. Raise your hand. Okay, so you guys all got it. Great.
Okay, so now I want you guys to make the number 19 using your 10 frames. So when using 19, again, remember 10 and 9 ones is what you should be making. And you should be getting something like this, 1 10 and 9 ones. Okay, the next number I want you guys to create is 18. Okay, so now I'm going to use red this time, and we're going to create the number 18. So again, we have the tens, and I'm going to create 8 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So what your chart should look like is like this. 1 10, 8 ones, which creates 18. Now, before we start our activity, I want you to do one more. I want you to create the number 21 using your 10 frames. So, remember 21. 1 10 is a 10. 2 tens is a 20. All right, and then 21, pretty simple, 1 block. So your answer should look something like this. So we have 2 tens, which is what we used here, and 1 1, 21.
So do you guys get that? Do you guys remember that and everything? Because we don't want to move forward if you don't get it. So seems like you guys got it.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Okay, so now that we have gotten a feel for our tens and ones and we did our review, we are now going to make it a little more interesting and add them all together using the tens place.
So go ahead and you guys put this piece of paper back into your folder because we're going to continually need to use this throughout the next few weeks. So put that back into your folder.
And also keep this as a reminder in case you do homework or you want to review before a test. You have this as a guide. Okay, so the first activity, you are first going to break into pairs of 2. And you are going to have 2 sets of die. So you are going to have 4 die, and one partner is going to be in control of the die, and the other partner is going to be in control of the 10 frames. So whatever she rolls, if she rolls, so let's give her to roll. Let's show them an example.
Okay.
Okay, so she rolled a 56. Okay, so now it's my job to create a 10 frame 56. I have to create the number 56 using my 10 frames. So that means, as we discussed earlier, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So now that I have my 5, I need to create 6 ones. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have my 56 here. So now she is going to roll the die again. And she got 24. So now I have to create a 24 using my 10 frames. So I have 1, 2, so 10 and 20. Now I need to create 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we need to add up together all of these 10 frames to figure out what we have. So we're adding 56 to 24. How much is that? So let's count. Okay, so now we're going to add all of these together to figure out how many we have. So let's start out by counting the tens first because that's the easiest because we each know that they have a value of 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. So now we have 70 here. So now we need to count our ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at that. We've just created a 10 frame. Can't we all just put this together? If we have 10, we can just connect them all and create a 10 frame. So we have 10 here. So now how many do we have all together? This should be pretty easy to add. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. 80 10 frames. Okay, so let's do another example of how to add the 10 frames using the die. So again, one partner is going to roll the die, and she got a 34. So I have to create a 10 frame out of 34. Look at me, making mistakes. I have to make 34 using the 10 frames. So 10, 20, 30. So now I need 4 ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're done with the first set. Now she's going to roll the die again. And she got 25. So now I have to create 25 using the 10 frames. So we get 10, 20, and then 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we want to know what 34 and 25 all together equal. So 34 plus 25. So again, let's start with the 10 frames because they're the easiest. So we have 10 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, now we have our ones left to add. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 5, 9, 59. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 59. So now that we know 34 and 25, if you add those all together, it equals 59.
Okay, so you guys have any questions about this? Because it's a little confusing. Okay, what question do you have? Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so she said, what happens when you roll the dice? How do you know which direction it is? So you know what? The trick that we do, when we roll it, it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one you want. I can do a 2 and a 6, or I could have done a 6 and a 2. So either way, but once you make that decision, it needs to stay that way. So it can be any way you want it to be. So, and then once you guys get that down, why don't you guys practice a couple of times, and then you can go ahead
and we will be walking around in case you guys need some guidance or you have any questions.
Yeah, so have fun and let us know anything you need. Okay, did you guys have so much fun using the dice and playing that game? That was really fun. Aren't you guys excited you learned that way? Well, this way is just going to be a little bit different that we're doing. It's not quite as like a game. It's more typical math. So I'm going to introduce it to you and show you what we're going to be doing. So first, instead of using a dice, I'm just going to write numbers down for you. And then you are going to use your 10 frames to create those numbers, just like you did with the dice, but I'm going to write it down for you. And then you're going to add them together. So it's pretty much the same thing, but just not using the dice, okay? So that we can just keep working on this so that you guys really get it in your brain of what we're doing, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add 21 plus 14. Okay, so... Okay. Miss Montgomery taught you so well how to do this, so just remember what you need to do with your 10 frames. So we're going to get 2 10 frames, 10, 20, and then we're going to get a 1, and then we're going to add 14. So how many 10 frames is that? Right, we're going to just use 1 10 frame. And then how many ones is that? Yep, exactly. We're going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have 21 plus 14. Okay, can you guys remember what Miss Montgomery said about what is the easiest way for us to add it together? Do you guys remember? Is it easier for me to use the 10s or the 1s first? Right, we're going to use the 10s first. So we're going to go 10, 20, 30, because we have 3 10s. And then let's add all these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how much is that? 35. So we know that 21 plus 14 equals 35. But this is where the things are going to be a little bit different. I want you guys to write your answer next to your problem, okay? So that you can understand that, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So let's do another one together. So
yes. Remember that when you're if you're still having trouble with the 10s and 1s, just remember when you're adding, so 21. the 2 is in the tens place, and it's basically already telling you how many tens you're going to need to make that 21. So, the 2 tens. Pretty simple. And then the 1 is in the ones place, which basically means you're only going to need 1 1. So if you're having trouble, just remember to look closely in the columns, tens and ones. And then same with the 14. There's 1 10. There's a 1 there, so that means 1 10. So you're only going to use 1 10, and in the ones place, there's 4. So that automatically tells you you're going to have 4 ones. So if you're having trouble again with the tens and ones places, you can easily look in the columns and separate the tens from the ones.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And you know what? I remember another great suggestion to do is that you can actually, if you're struggling with it, you can draw a dotted line like we have before. You guys have seen when we've done this, when we were learning our place values. You can always draw that dotted line to help to remind you to if you need to separate it. So there's all kinds of tricks to remind yourself. So that was really a really great reminder. Okay, so the next one that we're going to do is 24 plus 13. Okay, so equals. Let's make the 24. So we're going to use the tens. And remember, like we were saying, the 2 is in the tens area, right? So we're going to make 20. And then the 4, which is in the ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we're going to do the 13. And what is in the tens place? The 1 or the 3? No, not the 3, the 1, right. Okay, so there we go. There's the 10. So we do put 1 there, and in the ones, we put 3 ones. 1, 2, 3. And again, we're going to add the tens first, right? We're going to add these all together. So, again, 10, 20, 30, because there's 3. Now let's add our ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 37. So we know now that 24 plus 13 equals 37. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that we just learned how to do that with these. You guys are already so smart. This is great. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we're going to do a problem together. Actually, not completely together. I'm going to write the problem down, and then I want you guys to work at your tables and see if you can come up with an answer. Okay? So, we have 25 plus 12. So you guys try and figure out what 25 plus 12 is. Okay? Okay, so did everybody figure out the answer for 25 plus 12? Okay, so what did you guys use? How many tens did you guys use? Show your fingers. That's right. You guys all figured it out. We have 2. So we have 2 here. And then how many ones? Yeah, you guys are too smart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how about the 12? Sometimes that can be tricky. Okay, how many tens? Right. We have 1 10. And how many ones? 2. 1, 2. But who can tell me how much it is altogether? Right. How did you come up with that answer? Okay, you're right. Because we added the tens place first. 1, 2, 3. So 10, 20, 30. And then the ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you guys are right. 37. You guys all seem to get that perfectly. And so you know what we were just talking about is kind of funny, is the problem I showed you before. The answer was 37 too. How funny, huh? That we both have the same answer. That's so tricky because they're totally different problems. They're completely different problems. But they have this, is that right? But they have the exact same answer. That's crazy, huh?
So that just means that there's many ways to get to number 37. There's probably multiple other ways we can use our 10 frames to get to 37. It's not just going to be the 25 and 12. There's many different ways you can get to 37.
So don't think you're getting it wrong just because you get some of the same answers, because like we said, there's multiple ways to get to that answer. So I think you guys are going to be able to do really good because I think you really understand this concept. And so here on out, I want you guys should have your sheet of paper like this. Go ahead and pull that out of your folders. And then what we're going to do is our normal, how we always do it at our tables. This time we're going to work alone. And then once you put your pencils down, you're going to be able to look at each other's answers and help each other and make sure you guys all have the same answer. Now, what do you do if you don't have the same answer? Right, if you don't have the same answer, then you guys are going to help each other fix it and come up with the right answer. We're going to walk around and you can ask us anytime you want, but you can't ask your friends around you until all the pencils are down at the table. So remember that, okay? So go ahead and start working on that right now. Okay, so you guys are all done. And how did you guys do? So what I really want you guys to do is at each of the tables, you guys know who you are because you guys are all labeled A, B, C, and D. And today we're going to choose, what letter should we choose today?
Let's do B.
So everybody sitting at the seat B, you are going to tell us your answers that you came up with and how you came up with that answer. So we're going to
also explain how you got the answer to your entire table.
Yes.
And if anyone got a different answer, maybe explain to them how to get the right answer or how they got the answer, how they got to their answer.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead and we're going to start going through and asking each of the tables. So go ahead and tell us. Okay, that was good. You guys all work together really good as a team. And I really like all of the B's because you were leaders and you were very helpful. I think you guys all did good. And I think that we just want to kind of go over one of the problems with you guys that we kind of felt like might have tricked people up just a little bit. So we're going to go over one of them with you. And it is 28 plus 11. Okay, so you guys find that one on your paper and let's go over that. So how many 10s are we going to use? Yes, we're going to use 2 10s for 28. And then how are we going to make the 8? I think that 8 kind of tricked a few people up because I feel like they might have put down, maybe accidentally put down a little, too few of the ones down. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we just made 28, and now we're going to make 11. How many 10s? Right. We're going to use 1 10. Okay, and only 1 1 to make 11. Okay, so let's add those together. So again, we're going to do 10, 20, 30, and let's add all our ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is 39. Does that make sense to you guys? Are you guys understanding how we came up with that answer, all of you? Because we really want to make sure that you understand this concept because we're going to do a little review that you're going to work on it all by yourself. So we want to make sure that you completely understand. So we're going to ask you, we want to have you guys ask us some questions. So we're going to use the next 5 minutes to answer any questions that you guys have. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, So I feel like you guys asked all your questions that you needed to, and we got it all taken care of. So now we're going to have you pull out this piece of paper out of your folder, okay? So this one is going to be done all by yourself. Does that mean that I can ask her for any help?
Nope.
No. But does that mean that you can raise your hand and ask us for help? Yes. You can always ask us for help, but you cannot ask your neighbors for any help, okay? So what you're going to do is that you're going to add this column to this column, and then we're going to find out our answer, okay? So let me explain how this is going to work. So we're going to count these little dots right here, okay? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there's 10. Remember, like on our 10 frames, there's 10. So we are going to write the number 10 right here. Now let's count over here. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to count the number. We're going to write the number 4. We already counted them. So we're going to. There's the 4. We're going to write the number 4 here. So then we're going to add them together. 10 plus 4 equals this, and you're going to write your answer over here. So this is the thing. You can use this piece of paper to help you. Okay, you can count it or whatever, but if you need a little bit of extra help because we're not used to working on the paper, yeah, use
our
our
10 frames.
Use your 10 frames. I think you should use your 10 frames. It might be a little more helpful. Just have them right next to you when you're working on it.
It also might be a little confusing to you guys because the 10s are split up into 2 5s. If that's confusing, just count how many are there. If it's 10, you can definitely use this as a placer for that. And then once you find your answer, so we have 10 and 4. Once you find your answer, you're going to cut out right here the pumpkin that matches the answer over here. And we also have scissors up front and glue that you can use. And yeah, if you have any questions, make sure you raise your hand and ask us. So don't ask your neighbors for help. Okay, good luck, guys. Okay, so now that you guys have time to work on it, let's go over it. Okay, so for the first one, we talked about it first. So 10 and 4, you should have gotten 14 there. So the second one, again, 10. And then how much is in the second one if we count it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7. So you should have gotten 10 plus 7, add those together, 17. If you add all the dots, you should have 17 dots. That's how you can check your answer as well. Okay, so the next one, you should have gotten 10 plus 9 is 19. And then this one, 10 plus 2 is 12. 10 plus 1 is 11. And this is a big one. We have 10 and 10. 2 10s here, add them together, you should have gotten 20. Here, 10 plus 6, you should have put the number 16 there, the pumpkin 16. 10 plus 3, there's 10 in here, 3 in here. Add those together, you get 13. 10 plus 8, because there's 10 here, 8 dots here. Add them together, you get 18. And for this one, 10 plus 5, add them together, you get 15. So 10 and 5. So how did you guys do? Did you guys get them right? Most of you? So remember, if you didn't get them right, if there's some that you have a problem with, we really want to go over those with you. So we're going, after this is over, after we're done teaching this part of it, we're going to go into our centers, and we want to help anybody who needs help to go over it, and we'll spend about 10 minutes doing that. And then afterwards, I want everybody to turn this in at the front desk, because we want to have those so we can look at them and see how proud we are of you guys, and go over all of that. So I
I think that is a wrap for today's lesson in math.
Yay! You guys got through it.
You guys did awesome, and so I want you guys to, again, separate into, you guys all know where you need to go for your groups, and then we're going to go through and go over this with everybody and make sure you all understand it, okay? Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. So we're really happy that you guys joined us for our class. You can kind of see a sample. Of course, you did see that we cut out a lot of things in our class. Like, so our class, our class mascot, as you would say, is SpongeBob. And so you'll see a lot of SpongeBob throughout our class. And so it's just kind of a fun thing we do with the kids, and they just love it and they think it's fun. So every time you see anything to do with SpongeBob, it's because we put a break in between of what we were doing, because we didn't think that you would want to watch us walking around, asking the kids what they need. And then when the kids were taking their assessment or they were working on their problems, you didn't want to sit there and watch us and watch them do nothing. So typically we do math every day, and we do math for roughly an hour. And so this was cut down a lot because you didn't see what was going on behind the scenes and everything. And so we thought we'd go ahead and show you a couple of other things that we do with our lesson planning. And so with the lesson plan that we did, for the multiple intelligence addressed, we used math logic intelligence, and we used interpersonal intelligence and intrapersonal intelligence. So, and then for the assessment, you guys saw that we used, where's that sheet of paper? Oh yeah, the pumpkin patch one. And that was so that we knew that everyone understood, because we are going to continue to work on addition for the rest of the week, but it's going to start getting trickier and trickier, and we don't want to lose any of our students. And so we just want to make sure everybody completely understands what we are working on. And what we choose to do, what most people do, is we always think ahead together, and we say, oh, okay, we want to help kids that really know what they're doing. They're advanced. We want to give them more to do so that they don't feel bored. And vice versa, kids that might be struggling, we want to help them and make them feel confident and good about what they're doing. And we want them to learn, and because everybody learns so differently. And so for the kids that are more advanced, we would suggest having, instead of adding 2 sets of numbers, add 3 sets of numbers, because that really does add a very challenging aspect to it. And the reason why we're not having them add 3 numbers, like 121, is because we have not introduced hundreds place yet, and so that is going to be coming really soon. That's why we don't want to lose any of our students. And then if, to make it easier for the students, we would suggest using smaller numbers. So instead of like 25, use maybe 10. Stick with just easier numbers that the kids can really grasp. And if they're really, really struggling, then I would suggest using numbers under 10 so that they understand like 8 plus 2 and things like that. And then, of course, this was only one lesson in that you guys saw of ours, and we do a lot of word problems, and we try and use the kids that are in our class to make it interesting and fun so that they feel involved with it. So,
yeah, and for the introduction, we use the 10 frames just to refresh the kids' memories and to get them started on the activities that they're going to do. So they were introduced to the 10 frames last week, what it is, how many is in there, what are ones, and this is kind of a way to introduce addition to students as well as subtraction. So this is like a placeholder. For the activities, what we did is we would give the students a certain number. So not only do they have to create the number using the 10 frames, they have to add them all together. So this is kind of a visual representation on how to add and subtract. So instead of using, writing it in columns, this is a visual representation, and it's easier for students to understand. And for the second activity, the students are doing the problems individually, and this is a way for us as teachers to assess them. That way, we can see how each individual child is doing rather than just the whole class. And then for the beyond, we gave them the assessment, of course, which is another form of assessment individually that we can grade and kind of gets them ready for future tests. And we move on to bigger lessons going into the hundreds place. And when we get to subtracting, we know once they get addition, because addition is the easier part, then we know that once they pass this, then they're ready for subtraction.
Yeah, and something that we like to do is have the students work together as a team, as you saw us do. And so when they work all together, they like no one feels left out, and everybody's helping one another. And then the second time, if you noticed, we have the kids work separately, but then together collaboratively after they've done their problems. So that kind of it's like you're kind of like gradually helping them get out of the nest with certain areas, and then at the end working alone completely. But we both feel that it's really important to continually ask the students if they need help, and we really like to walk around our classroom and be a part of it all. So I hope you guys learned anything from us, and just thanks for watching, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.